Hi, and welcome to episode 32 of Stuttering, Mystified, and Beyond. I am your host, Lori Melnitsky. I am a speech-language pathologist, a person who stutters, and a specialist in stuttering therapy. I have dedicated my life to helping people who stutter and people with ADHD. In this episode, I'd like to really talk to you about a question a lot of parents actually ask me. And the question is, should I just give up on getting help for stuttering? Because people tell me there's no cure, so my child should just learn how to stutter easier. And this question, to be honest with you, drives me insane. And I just have to be honest with you, as a person who has stuttered most of her life and stuttered very severely. And I'm not sure how this happened, except for the fact I'm going to take a guess that because stuttering is such a hard, complex disorder, a lot of people don't know how to treat it. So they say, do the best you can. Let's learn how to stutter easier. So let me tell you a story of myself, actually, because I do share a lot of stories of myself and some other people who I work with. And the stories are this. When I was young, I was thinking today I went into Panera and I ordered a sandwich. I am one of these crazy people who orders a sandwich and needs a fork and a knife. I do the same thing when I order pizza. And I was thinking, how easily I just said, can I have a fork, please? And in the past, when I was younger, I would have just had to eat this sandwich without the fork and knife because I wouldn't have been able to even say it. No matter how much someone would have told me to stutter easier, I don't know why I'm having a hard time with that word, easier, I would have not been able to. And this is the reason. Because by that time, 8 or 9, I had already developed a lot of fear and shame associated with stuttering. I was embarrassed. And I just would have eaten the sandwich if I would have even ordered it. Because this was actually a Veggie Delight sandwich, which I probably would have never ordered, or I would have written down on a piece of paper. I do believe if I had someone who kind of understood stuttering at the time, maybe I wouldn't have developed so many fears. And I do believe that we should definitely talk about it and not be so embarrassed. But I certainly would not have gone around at that time and used some easier stuttering like this. Now, I understand that there are many people out there who have benefited from this, but I think sometimes we give up too easily. When a parent of a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old ask me this, because other speech pathologists or other professionals have told them that, to me, there's just too much noise and there's too much of a misunderstanding. So what do I recommend? I recommend from an early age to do things in a fun manner. I can't recommend enough to find a speech pathologist who specializes in stuttering therapy. And I'm going to really be a little bit outspoken here and just delve a little bit into insurance issues. And I think there's a lot that's not understood. And I think probably I'm going to do a podcast on this. So one, insurance for speech therapy isn't like medical. Employers pick this plan, and many insurance companies do not cover stuttering therapy, do not cover other developmental issues. Reimbursement for speech therapy has gone down, which should not happen in a world where everything else is getting so expensive. And especially speech pathologists who work so hard to really help others and dedicate their lives. Why should reimbursement go down? So sometimes when you look for a specialist, you're not going to find somebody in network because they don't really get paid, and because insurance coverage does not cover it, and because we don't have as much out-of-network coverage as we had. So what do I say to you? I say look at stuttering therapy. Find someone who's not going to keep your child for a whole year, which is what happens anyway with insurance. Find someone who's a specialist, who knows what they're doing. Invest a certain amount, because communication is so important. Without good communication, you're going to feel shame and embarrassment, and you're not going to want to raise your hand, and you're not going to want to interact as much. Look at it like a math tutor. And I understand this is a very touchy subject, because not, everyone has the resources, and it's kind of a tough world that we're in. But I don't think from an early age we should just say stutter easily, when there's research showing that if you intervene early, you could possibly stop stuttering or make it minimal. And if you do a lot of family involvement, that you can really increase fluency. And in 30 years, I can't tell you that it's happened with everybody, because everyone is their own individual case. But I've seen, and honestly, I made my mistakes early on, but I've seen middle schoolers who really are learning how to be eloquent speakers. And that to me is incredible. And they smile, and you see how much more confidence they have. So I'm just going to tell you, and I don't mean to step on anybody's toes, but I feel very adamant about it, that if somebody says they want fluency, give them a shot. That doesn't mean that you have to get mad at them if they stutter. That doesn't mean that they can't pull out of some sounds a little bit easier. And by a pull out, I mean you kind of hold the sound, pull out. So you can certainly teach them ways to ease stuttering. There's no pressure to be fluent all the time, but when the resources are there, we should use them. And I can't tell you enough, look for someone who specializes in stuttering therapy, because you could be wasting a lot of time doing a very important part of their lives. And everyone should be able to say their name, order what they want. So thank you for listening. Again, my name is Lori Melnitsky. If you want to read more about me, it's www.allilandspeech.com. Again, the goal for stuttering is to really develop effective communication, and sometimes we do have to really prioritize communication above anything else. And I so wish that we were in a world that advocated for better coverage and increased rates, because speech language pathologists, and if you're a speech language pathologist, we work very hard and we dedicate our lives to really help others communicate and feel better about speaking. And I really admire my colleagues. So again, I just hope this information helps you, and thank you so much for listening to Stuttering Demystified and Beyond.